Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All Things Middle-earth here with a video looking at some of the new details for the Tactics Evolved Season 5 in the Rise to War. Okay, so I wanted to quickly go over some of the information we do have on Season 5. Obviously, a lot of this is going to be a lot more clear once the season is live, but there's been a few graphics released, there's been some posts, there's been some of the kind of decrypted book posts, there's been the different videos the devs have done. So there's a lot of different kinds of things, and I really wish we would have seen an in-game view of this earlier, because I think that would be very, very clear. So I want to try and piece some of this together so we can have a basic idea of what this is going to look like. And the first thing is, if you didn't know, the Tactics Evolved season is going to feature elite unit upgrades. This is going to be for tier 3 and above, as well as neutral units, and it's going to require a main haul of level 7 or higher. So as you can see here, we have these common units being turned into elite units, and what that means, or what the description here is, it says, in the campaign Tactics Evolved, you'll be able to train common units into elite units. Elite units possess an extra skill slot and have access to new skills. Strategizing synergies between units and their elite skills based on each unit's traits will be the key to victory. So as far as I can tell, this is going to be a pretty standard campaign in terms of what we're used to for seasons, but the main feature is going to be these elite units. And again, it talks about how there are new skill slots unlocked. It also, in the videos, talks about how there's armor upgrades and weapon upgrades. So my understanding is these elite units are going to have better stats pretty much across the board, and they're going to have access to an additional skill slot. And if I understand correctly, you'll even be able to choose which elite skill you want to use, which you'll unlock those with the items that you have and choose what you want to use with them based on the commanders that you have and what you have going on. So that is kind of the first part of the preface of the new season, what it's going to look like, which I think is a really good thing. My thoughts on it initially are, it sounds very fun. Again, it sounds very fun to think about running some really good commanders like Gilgal with some elite sentinels or whatever it is, or elite march wardens. They do say tier 3 units and above, so I'm assuming that means tier 4, like faction specific ones as well. Or looking at Witch King, running Witch King with elite alchemists or something like that would be really, really crazy. Even looking at Gothmog with different siege builds, if you use alchemists, are they going to have higher siege? I don't know. There could be a lot of fun possibilities. I think that sounds really good. My only concern and my worry that I hope is not the case at all, I don't want this to just be something that is very expensive. It's very resource intensive to do, and it basically just boosts whatever the current meta is, and everyone's just running around with Alchemist Witch King, and you got your Gandalf the Grey that counters that with his elite units and whatever it be. I hope that it actually, evens the playing field so that commanders that maybe don't get a lot of playtime or love would now be made a lot more viable, because there are specific skills that make units better that are then boosted by certain commanders. So that's my hope for it. But again, we'll find out exactly how it's going to fit into the structure of the season. But all you got to do is get your main haul to level 7. And then it's going to be one of the upgrades here, the Elite Training Grounds. Moving on, there are going to be different materials we need to do these elite upgrades on our units. So we're going to need these training materials. We have the Trial Record, we have the Tome of Awakening, and these are race specific. So the one in the picture here says Tome of Awakening for men. And then there's the Elite Medal. From my understanding, if you look at the graphic below here, it looks like you can exchange the Trial Records, which is the first one, for Tomes of Awakening or Elite Medal. So it looks like you're going to want to try and gather or farm a bunch of the Trial Records and then use those, possibly a limit of 10 per day, it looks like there. Every day, to then get the number of tomes needed or the elite medals needed to unlock these different elite units. And I think the elite's medal has to do with the skills, the extra skill slot, if I'm not mistaken. But you're going to use those trial records to go into that. So it's going to be a process of making sure as soon as you can get these, you're getting them every day, so you can get all the different race types you want unlocked, as well as the different skills for those, depending on what you're wanting to run with them. And then lastly, how do you get these elite materials? You're going to get them one of two ways. There's going to be mobs, and there's going to be basically tips. So for mobs, it says, in the new campaign, after you have built the elite training grounds in your main settlement after main settlement 7, by sweeping mobs, there's a chance to drop training materials, including elites, medals, and more. So again, it looks like you're going to be able to exchange trial records for the other two, but I think the other two can be also dropped. Maybe it's just a more rare drop, but it sounds like they can be dropped from farming mobs. The refresh time for mobs will become more frequent on a daily basis. On a side note, they did put in the patch notes that Stamina is going to be refunded. If you're marching towards a mob and it expires while you're marching, you're going to get your stamina refunded there if you bounce and don't get the hit on it. So that was a good thing that will probably be happening with this if the timers are lessened here, that people can farm these more often. That's going to be something we're going to run into. But then the next one is training regimens. These are basically tips that you can get from Master at Arms, it looks like. And it says training materials could also be obtained by completing training regimens after you finish a certain task in the Master of Arms, at the Master of Arms in the tavern. Except for the trial record, there are chances to get elite medals as well. So it sounds like in this one, you can't get the trial record from the tips. So again, it sounds like there are going to be a few ways to get them. Maybe farming is going to be a majority trial record, and then the tips are going to be a little bit more rare, where you can get everything but the trial record, because it says except for the trial record, there are chances to get elite medals as well. So again, it's hard to tell because in the pictures here it has all three of them listed. So maybe it's the text that I'm reading that's weird, but we'll see exactly what that looks like. But those are the two methods to get them, and it sounds like there's going to be a limit of 10 of these. Just like the development tasks on a structure, you can do 10 per week. You can do 10 of these per week. So you're going to want to make sure that you're farming mobs pretty much all the time, and you're going to want to make sure that you're doing your training 10 times a week to get the maximum amount of materials, so that you can then give those to the Master at Arms like we see over here, and unlock those different items to get the elite units and to also get the skills that they're going to be using on them. And that's basically all the information we have right now. It's kind of scattered out there. I don't think it's going to be too ground shattering in terms of like major mechanics in the game changing, assuming they've thought through the balance of these different things and not made any units just ridiculously broken. It's just going to be a new unit feature in the game. I don't see the season and how it works really changing. I'm just hoping it adds some variety for what players can do in the game. Again, like I said, my only concern is that this becomes some kind of crazy resource intensive thing that just slows progress of everything, because you're putting all your resources into training elite units and everyone has them, so it's just enhanced the meta but not really changing anything else. That's kind of, I think, worst case, so I hope that does not happen. But I'm pretty excited for this. Again, if you haven't read the patch notes on the Discord, they're also making it so in bag end you have to select which faction you're going into. So they're now going to have these teams of up to 100 players with a chosen faction, and should be able to pick and put them in servers that are going to have some balance. So hopefully balanced servers, new elite units that might make commanders more viable, or less viable commanders more viable, whatever it is, I think could shape up for a very fun and exciting season. But we'll have to see how it plays out once we actually get into it. So let me know down in the comments below what you think about Season 5, about the elite units, about any of the changes that we've talked about. And if I've missed anything, or in the video, if there was another detail that you think they added that I didn't add in here, let me know down in the comments below. If there is extra information really soon, I'll probably pin a comment with more details. But that is going to do it for me in this one. And as always, I'll see you all in a future video.